the fairy tale of life. Red thread wrapped in a spinning wheel. Give it a kick to turn for the fairy tale to begin. Fairy tales are for serious thought, and we here on the internet have proven ourselves to be lacking in even common sense. The difference is that instead of pills we wear glasses. Colorful. Blue and red mostly, but if you don't want to take off your glasses, how do you expect to see? Anyway, my thoughts concern the movie Matrix and its connection to life. The first truth, in my humble opinion, is that even if you swallow an entire pharmacy of colorful pills, when the alarm clock sounds, you'll be back in your bed. The same happens with glasses. Whichever color you choose, once again, you will see your boss, who will not only wave at you menacingly, but also show you occasionally the middle finger. My purpose is not to analyze a truly great movie. So let me continue with the quintessence of this cinematic idea, that man is locked somewhere and that down here is something like a projection that aims to free him from the mechanistic form of the environment. Before proceeding to understand what modern man is likely to do, it is good to look at the environment in which he gets around. Unfortunately, there are various perceptions that, in my honest opinion, do not help us. On the one hand is the hard scientific view, and on the other an unrestrained metaphysical perception. The first, the scientist in its extreme position, adopts views such as the ones that are so imaginatively presented in the Matrix film trilogy. We are all plugged in, some with blue and others with red wires. They are satisfied simple by having behind everything a machine, or even a completely mechanistic perception. The fundamental question, of course, if we consider seriously the words of the movie, is where the story takes place. Are the heroes somewhere else, and every time they plug the cable to their necks, they magically appear in the red world? Or do they all live in those strange hives, products of the machines, and simply play on a different level depending on the plug from which they are fed? Let's have a closer look at the concept of the matrix, or more correctly, the matrix of information, which is supposed to represent the scientific perception of life, a life based on the theory of relativity. The world is for many a matrix, that is, a matrix of information. Who says otherwise? Where is the merit of this proposal that everyone is now talking about, as if they were saying something great? What do they share that is new? Nothing at all. Most theories, anyway, are based on this general perception. Such a point of view, therefore, complicates the simple concepts that define life more than it provides a solution. The evil behind these seemingly scientific views is the deconstruction of life. Do you want to have fun? You choose the red perception of life. Do you want to see the truth? You choose the blue view. But both give no answer. I did not see any difference in the way the blues lived in their city in the bowels of the earth, matrix again, than the way others lived on its surface. Deconstruction simply creates unique patterns of life that both support different moral rules. And next to this perception comes an unrestrained metaphysical perception that is based on completely Aeolian interpretations. Every member of these groups uses expressions that were given by some unknown teacher that contradict each other even within the same topic, with no philosophical or dialectical value. The countryside is on fire because this is how the earth is cleansed. Animals will not exist after some years because their role is completed. Limitless arbitrary statements that again deconstruct the meaning of life, and most important, the responsibility of man. That is, Again, the supporting of an immoral world. The only thing these views accomplish is removing man from here and now and depriving him the ability to think in pragmatic terms. The relativity of existence and its metaphysical dimension have a specific continuum system within which they exist. This is what the modern man must not only understand but also shape to his benefit. So let's just stick to the fact that everyone wears glasses that are of a different color, and all they do is deny you the right to live. You got it right. We are talking about life. Life must contain joy, freedom, and the possibility of the individual to have the time to form himself. If you think about it, it is funny that no one ever said, "Thank you, I have my eyes, and I don't need your glasses." This and only this is the conclusion a person can draw, and not dwell on the likelihood of the counterpart. Because there is reliability. What will happen to humanity? Will the economy collapse? How will the lower classes live? Will there be jobs for all? What will I be in my next reincarnation? What does the teacher mean by that? And many more that have unfortunately formed the shell of today's society and not its essence. Therefore, the man who wants to be formed correctly should juggle between not unrestrained scientism or ineffable metaphysics, but to the existing function and structure of society on one hand, and to the idea that brings him to the path of integration. It is difficult. I believe very difficult, since there are moments full of illusions that project as correct. The path of complete submission to one of the extreme perceptions. But these are the choices that determine the environment in which we live. So, how do we want to talk about self-awareness and so on, and at the same time ignore the environment in which we exist? Let this so simple idea help you determine the seriousness of what the various teachers are proposing to you. But can we easily change our environment? I'm sorry, but no, we can't. The environment does not change easily. What can change, though, is the way we evaluate it. If you live in an unfree environment and understand it, you have taken the first step to win back your freedom. You will see it for what it is, and this will help you make the right decisions and take the steps to proceed unfettered. I would add that this is the way to shape the ethics in which we must live, not as individuals, but as the humanity. Let's not forget that as units, we manifest in some environment. So our properties are not only affected by it, but also use it to manifest. Let me state here and now that the way to understand the environment is harmony. We must live in harmony with our environment. And I'm not talking about the artificial environment, but our natural one. Artificial paradises are abodes of imaginary creatures. Enough said. The environment has an even more essential function. When we see it without glasses, we discover it hides treasures of knowledge. Everything is there. All we need is a bit of observation, and we will find answers for everything. Because, my dear readers, you should know that every answer is just waiting for your appropriate question. Is there really a strange separation between there and here? I believe there is. Let me remind you that in the movie, the people were locked in some transparent matrices and survived because the machines fed them with a liquid mixture. The environment for me looked more like a gland than a matrix. Anyway, we could say in a perhaps spontaneous interpretation that somewhere inside our brain, perhaps in a gland that it hosts, a process is taking place that makes up the beginning of our existence. And the mechanistic environment, the machines of the matrix, is nothing more than creation itself. Everything that surrounds us, including this body of ours. And our purpose is simply to free ourselves from this slavery. Here is where I usually ask, how do you like it cooked? In the oven or on the grill? As long as we live, as long as we are in the process that consists the moment of conception to the moment of death, nothing changes in the way of everyday life. We row the boat, and depending on the pills we take or the glasses we wear, life might be good. A few decades ago, when the cinema took its first steps with the so-called three-dimensional films, in order to see properly, the viewers had to wear some kind of paper glasses where one lens was a blue gelatin and the other a red one. Was it a coincidence? Truth to be told, scientists are brainwashing us with their bullshit about the meaning of life, so that we don't raise our heads. As soon as we try to use our brain, their partners, those coming from the so-called metaphysical arc, take over and sent us back where we came from. Don't get me wrong. There are serious scientists, and of course there are serious metaphysicians. Who knows where? My dear friends, in the process of seeking the truth, we are alone, not together in a solo state. Each one alone. That is the kind of solitude I'm talking about. But there is a way to proceed with this loneliness. Its name is free thought. We throw away prejudices, habits, ready-made cliches, ready-made solutions, and start to think for ourselves. Yes, unfortunately, we are those tragic bodies locked in the glands of creation, far from each other, that no matter what we do, we cannot get out into the now of relative reality. If for no other reason, because this reality is only experienced if you take your pill every day. And the color doesn't matter. If you don't take any pill, will you wake up? I have already answered you, no. Not receiving any might cause your conscience to awake and realize the rigged game, because the game is rigged. Don't think that those who set up the game are the villains of creation. It's not demons or angels, it's not God or devil, it's us. Not the ones here, those are of no value. But the ones there, and to be more precise, the ones there before we accept to enter the artificial matrix of creation, which I insist is nothing more than a brain gland. This is the way. I will conclude with a small excerpt from a novel I have written. He didn't finish his thought, and this time he found himself in a garden. It was an enormous garden with lots of flowers and trees. Some animals were grazing peacefully. He walked until a tall fence appeared at the far end. He continued walking step by step to the side of the fence, searching for the entrance. At one point, a curved gate appeared, but a strange figure that, as Rick approached, looked more and more like an angel, guarded the gate. After a while, Rick arrived him and asked to go out. The angel nodded to him. It was not allowed. "Where am I?" "In heaven," the angel replied. "And why can't I go out? How did I get in?" "The entrance is free. What is forbidden is the exit. Once you have entered, you must comply with the terms of the agreement." "This is unheard. Everybody wants to get in, not to go out," Rick told him. "They don't know any better," the angel replied. At that moment, outside the garden appeared a woman wearing a sari. She nodded him to follow her. The angel then told him he could go out. Rick followed the woman. After 100 yards, he asked her, "Why is it forbidden for everybody to leave paradise?" "You see it wrong. This is not an entry or an exit, but for going up or down." "That means we are now descending." "No, we are going up. The level of paradise is below the level of freedom. That is why you may go down but not up. Close your eyes. The conspirators of chaos.